So on this piece of paper, I'm going to draw a rectangle. Okay. Now this is us living in a two-dimensional world. Okay. Really, it's three-dimensional, but for this, I'm just picturing two-dimensional. And anything in this two-dimensional world is all that we see. Okay, that's all our senses can perceive. So if something from a higher dimension, in this illustration, the third dimension, if a ball, say, or a sphere, passes through this our dimension, as it intersects our dimension, it would start as a dot, expand out to a circle, expand out to the circle that represents the maximum circumference of the sphere, and then it will go back to a smaller circle, and then finally to a dot, and then disappear as this sphere passes through our plane of existence. So from our point of view, we'd see a dot. Because we're in a two-dimensional world, we'd see a line, that line getting to a certain length, shrinking back and then disappearing, because we live in a two-dimensional world in this illustration. Now if you mark it up to a three-dimensional world, we live in a three-dimensional world, x, y and z axis. If a fourth-dimensional sphere passes through our third dimensions, then we would see a point appear in space. I say space, it could be your bedroom, it could be 100 meters above your house, it can be anywhere. A point would expand to be a sphere, grow to the maximum size of the object passing through our plane, and then shrinking back to a dot and disappearing. If we take the same analogy, and have, say, a rod with wires inside. Next take a rod in fourth or fifth dimensional space, and it's got structures in it. Okay, think of it as a wire. You've got lots of little wires in the big wire, and that passes through our three-dimensional space, and you would see, basically, if the rod had just flat ends, you'd see a disc, and that disc could either stay stationary, or if this was moving down in this direction, you'd see the disc slowly moving in this direction before this end came out of our three dimensions and the disc would disappear. Now, if you were to fire, say, for example, a Hellfire missile at this object in our three dimensions, what do you expect to see? Well, first of all, what's a Hellfire missile? A Hellfire missile is used by the American military to take down flying objects, normally aircraft. A Hellfire missile contains no explosive warhead. It flies along, and as it gets near its target, you have big blades come out of its side, and these begin to rotate. And they're like scythes, they're very sharp, 6 foot long bits of metal. And as it approaches its target, these pop out, spring loaded I assume, and they start to spin. The whole missile starts to spin. It becomes a massive flying cutting tool. And the idea is that as it impacts the aircraft close to Mach 1, you basically slice up the aircraft so badly it can't continue to function and it crashes. So if you were to fire a Hellfire missile at this object, what do you think is going to happen? Or what do you expect to happen? So this is just an infinitesimally small slice of the actual object, okay? As it passes through our time and space, if it's moving in this direction, for example, then you expect the object to move gradually there until this end leaves our space. If you were to fire a missile at, say, this point here, halfway through, the missile would only affect this object in our dimension. And it effectively, if you can imagine taking an infinitely small slice of this object, you just blow it up, okay? So if this has got structural parts in it, in the fourth dimension, these structural parts are breaking here. But the rest of the object is unaffected because it's currently, these bits and these bits aren't in our dimension yet. So no missile can reach them. However, you have damaged a small slice of it. And as a result, you might actually break this object that happens to be in our dimension. But structurally, this is held together by what is above it and what is below it. And so you'd expect things maybe to break, but not fly apart. You'd also expect the shrapnel, the bent bits of metal, let's just call it metal, to stay with the rest of this. Okay, as it continues to move in our three dimensions, you might have broken bits, but after a very short time they settle down and they stay with this object. So if we make this longer, for example, this object would continue with the bits around it, staying around it. Okay, it's attached to a further object beyond our three dimensions. So next put this to the test. Next watch this video, released, involuntarily released from the Pentagon. In other words, it was leaked and the Pentagon aren't happy about it, but this is released in Congress. And now I'm just going to show you a quick video of this such event.
This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone.
Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that instead.
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are...
Right, so that is an example. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play that back again. I'm going to do it in slow motion. So I'm just going to show you that last bit. I'm going to slow that down, and then we're going to see that again. Okay.
Launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone.
Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
So, but in essence, what you're seeing there is evidence. Not necessarily proof, because proof is a very subjective word. One man's proof is another man's allegation. So I just really wanted to show you that video because it hints at the fact that these objects, or some of these UFOs, are in fact just protrusions of a fifth dimensional object going into our three-dimensional world. Now you might ask, Andre, why do you know it's a fifth dimensional object? Well, let me explain. The fourth dimension is widely regarded by scientists as being time. Okay, there's 11 dimensions in total in our universe, and that is stipulated by peer-reviewed papers all to do with string theory. So it is accepted mathematically and amongst top scientists that there's 11 dimensions in the universe, of which we can only perceive 3. Now the fifth dimension allows an object from obviously a higher plane of dimension to enter our 3 dimensions, but it is from the same universe. Okay, it's not from a parallel universe, it's from our universe, and as such has to conform to the physics of our universe. So this is why I'm couching it between the 5th or the 9th, because if it obeys our physics, then it can be, and it probably is, from the 5th dimension. But if it doesn't obey our law of physics, then it's from the 9th dimension. And it is possible, as I'll show you now, how it can be, it can look as if it's breaking the laws of physics, but it isn't actually. So if I take this two-dimensional plane, again this is our plane, we live in a two-dimensional world, and you have, I don't know, an L-shaped object. And as it passes through our plane, that's probably not the best example. Let me try this one. Sorry, this shape here. An L-shaped object. As it passes through our plane, you will see, again, taking it back to a two-dimensional world, you'd see an analogy. You'd see sort of a craft, sort of a tic-tac, rectangular craft, sort of zoot off in this direction. And if that was tilted, if this bit was tilted further away from us than this bit, then it would appear to then zoom in this direction. If this was travelling near the speed of light, or at the speed of light, which is allowed by our physics, then its apparent movement in our two-dimensional world would seem to make it appear to move faster than the speed of light, just because this is coming at an angle. So this is where this is still obeying the laws of our universe, but in our dimension it looks like it's breaking the laws of physics. If you take this, if this object is from the 9th dimension, it can do what it damn well pleases, because it's from a parallel universe where any laws of physics could apply. So this could actually be travelling faster than the speed of light, because in that parallel universe anything is possible. And for those of you with a slight religious context, the 10th dimension is considered to be where God resides, because God can pretty much do anything with a plus following it. You know, anything that you can do in the 9th dimension, you can do even more in the 10th dimension. So a 9th dimensional object is pretty close to what we'd consider to be pure magic, or very close to godlike. And this is where it may not necessarily be from the 9th dimension. As I said, you can explain some of the characteristics just merely with a 5-dimensional object passing through our space. Well, I'm not actually looking at the camera, apologies for that. Right, let me show you some other things and I'll explain what we're seeing here. Again, this is all sort of conjecture on my part, but it's conjecture that ticks all the boxes. And again, it's not proof. It is just my attempt at trying to focus minds, trying to get some interest in this very interesting subject. At least I find it very interesting. I appreciate that most people don't. I did a physics degree, as I said, to learn about the universe. It would seem odd if I suddenly got to a point where I was no longer interested in understanding what I was seeing. Well, I'm going to go back to another video, and this time we're going to be looking at another UAP or UFO, and we're going to be looking at another one that gets hit by another missile. So it's still there. Okay, the missile didn't destroy it. If I play that again, if you're interested to know what's dripping out of this 5th dimensional object that is protruding into our 3 dimensions, it's actually pure silicone or silicon. Okay, no one knows why. I'm not going to pretend to know why, but when they collected these debris that drip off, it is pure silicon. That's just an interesting tidbit, and there's nothing I can add to that because I've got no idea why. Right, moving on to the next one. Oh, before I move on, that the stuff you see
This theory
flying out, this stuff here is really just the leftovers of the missile. So the fuel, the explosives. Not quite sure what that bit is, but yeah, that is really the missile just detonating.
Orb's apparent invulnerability in their rigid, synchronized move.
Right, on to the next video then. So this is a brilliant one. Okay, so you're going to have to imagine what shape this is in the fifth dimension to give you this effect.
It's important that we start talking about the potential of advanced technologies, whether
Now then, I am going to be blunt with you here. It doesn't actually matter whether this is fake or not. It could be fake. These days, any video can be faked. And that's only really true for this year. You could spot a fake a mile away, years gone by. And that's why it is important to look at old UFO videos before they could be doctored in any way. But the fact is, it doesn't matter whether that video or any video I show you is fake, because it is illustrative of what thousands of people see more or less every night, somewhere in the world. Now, don't believe me? You can download an app called Enigma. It's free to download. It's alright, you're not going to be posted the tinfoil hat to wear. And it just shows you where all the UFO sightings are around the world. And you can zoom in, you can zoom into the UK, you can zoom into any country you want and look at the videos and pictures that people are posting every single night. So literally thousands of sightings every single night, somewhere in the world, some near you. And the sightings vary, whether it's a flying disc or a tic-tac or one of those swirly in and out of this dimension objects. But the fact is that people are recording them on their video. You can fake a video, but you can't necessarily fake the entire context of the video, like the voices behind the camera, the situation that they're in, and just the sheer number of sightings every single day of these mysterious other dimensional objects. Right, let me show you some more.
I'm seeing this. This happened. I'm sorry.
What is that?
There's a passenger on the plane, looks out the window, grabs the phone. This was filmed in June. The traveler sees that. An object apparently changing shapes in seconds.
What?
Oh. Is it a shape-shifting object? Is it Bezos? Is it Branson? What is it?
No, that's a UFO, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a UFO that is very intriguing. Now, I've heard all sorts of stories about this. Oh, it's the little hole that you have in the airline window that gets frosted up sometimes. Well, I'm sorry, but I've looked at a few holes in windows and airlines in my lifetime. It's never done anything like that. This is indeed an anonymous object. Okay, clearly it doesn't tick the box of a flying saucer, but it does tick the box of something protruding into our dimension from the fifth or the ninth dimension. Okay, that's all I know. Why they're doing it, I don't know. There's so many questions about it. But one of the points of this video is to really help you to understand there are mysteries out there that we don't know the answer to. Now, some of the mysteries might have nothing to do with aliens. There is this tendency, if we don't understand something, it must be alien. Well, we've got to be careful we don't go down that route, because then that really muddles the fields of science. There is a mystery here, though, and we can't just assume that even if everything is faked, that it's not real, because real people are seeing it, documenting it, either in pictures, videos, or just through a narrative, through written words. Let's have a look at one more. Well, actually, there's a few more, beg your pardon. So this one is my favourite. This is a black flying triangle, a few hundred metres across. Can't really miss it if you see it. And of course, this is seen on a daily basis, and this has been flying around now for about 20-30 years. It's an example of a non-man-made craft that has been around for a very long time, seen by thousands, probably in total hundreds of thousands of people. Okay. Now this employs something else. This is itself not a fifth or ninth dimensional object, because now I'm moving on to the ability to move dimensions, but through a portal, rather than being a fifth or ninth dimensional object in its own right. The ones you've seen up to now are fifth and ninth dimensional objects. probably. And these, I'm going to show you some now, which are not 5th or 9th dimensions, but they have got access to those dimensions. And this gives you some advantages. So for example, on this, you could actually land this, get out and have a stroll around. Okay, you're not sort of remotely coming into our dimension. You are very much bricks and mortar in our 3 dimensions. However, this has the ability to open up its own portal, which I'll show you. This, I believe, this particular video was captured over Sheffield, I think about 13 years ago. It's worth pointing out that this is slightly aerodynamical. So you've got a couple of fins, like tail fins at the back here. Now clearly this is not man-made, because if this is spotted 13 years ago, this would be on the cover of some military magazine by now. I can assure you that the British military wouldn't be wasting their time flying one of these craft over Sheffield on an early evening. There'd be no military advantage to showing it off to everyone in Sheffield. As with all UFO videos, there's a certain amount of camera shaking and terrible focus control. Notice how it doesn't fly like a plane, okay? It's literally just hovering there. Now, I don't care if you think this is fake. This has been visually seen by hundreds of thousands of people all around the world, still being seen, still looks the same after 13 years. So I actually think this is genuine footage, but it doesn't really matter because, as I say, enough people have seen it to give it some tangibility. Okay, this is the spacecraft. This is its ability to open up its own portal. I don't know how. I'm not going to pretend. This is technology that if somebody does understand, please get into contact with me. Please explain it, because I don't. But it's basically opening up its own portal to get ready to jump to either the 5th or the 9th dimension. Or actually, it could be the 4th dimension. This could simply be changing its time. So this would make it effectively disappear, but in fact it hasn't disappeared necessarily in space, just time. And it's gone. There you go. Gone in the blink of an eye. Right, next one up. Next have a look at this one here. Now, this is a classic situation of, okay, this video could be fake. Okay, I'm not claiming any veracity on this video. It could easily be faked. I don't think it is. I think it's real. But I want you to use this video as a gauge of your own mind. Okay. Now, if you actually saw this with your own eyes, would you think, ah, that's just a drone? Or would you think, oh, that's some US military tech flying around in broad daylight over Germany, in this case? Or would you think that's anonymous? That's not human. That isn't alien tech or something that's not of this earth. And really, watch this video and ask yourself, what would you think if you saw it? There you go. Right. Interesting stuff. Now I've got one more video and then I'm going to wrap it up, because I'm sure that either you've all left by now or you just don't believe a word I'm saying. This one here, this video is a classic. This was taken over 11 years ago, again in Germany, in a farmer's field. This attracted a lot of attention. I'm only playing you a short clip of a much longer video where the farmer is waving at aliens which are around this ship. But we're going to skip that bit because that's not really the focus of what I'm trying to say today. This video, no one's been able to debunk it, but there was a couple of things that concerned me. And so next pretend that this is fake. Okay, I don't think it is fake, but let's just pretend it is. I'm going to use this as an illustration of what people see all the time. Okay, again, dozens of people would see this kind of object every day somewhere in the world, and it's also described in many sort of official, unclassified Pentagon releases and people that work for the Pentagon. So this is sort of considered to be a genuine article, and it's going to illustrate portal jumping, which again is a UFO going into a portal and disappearing. It's something that's seen every day. So we're going to play this now. So here the farmer, whoever's taking the video, chickened out, and this UFO is moving away from the camera, either that or it's shrinking, can't be sure. And the farmer, this is 11 years ago, so this is probably not a mobile phone, this is probably a proper video camera. You see how the UFO is either shrinking or moving away, difficult to tell. And in a minute it's going to move, and it's going to create its own portal. There you go, and it's gone. It's interesting that, well, you might find it interesting, that there's more than one technology being used by aliens. And you think, well, why would that be? Surely, if everyone used the fifth dimension, then that's the best one. Well, I'm personally of the belief that there's more than one type of alien visiting the Earth, and therefore you've got different levels of technology. And secondly, there may be advantages to having something that's not crossing our plane of existence, but is firmly embedded in it. For example, being able to land properly rather than risk going through the Earth. You can actually land on what would be physical ground in the third dimension, whilst in the fifth dimension they could just as easily fly through solid rock as it is air, because it doesn't affect them. So yeah, I hope you find this interesting. Please share if you think other people are going to find this. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on our Alford Highland YouTube channel. And please comment. Let me know. Let me know if you think it's all just nonsense, and give me a reason why you think it's all nonsense. And if you got any questions, then please fire away. As I say, it really I'd love it if you subscribed, because I'll be doing lots more videos like this, explaining and looking at the latest information. I'll be doing a video on the Enigma app and how you can use that to just browse what's happening in your local area. Dozens of new sightings, say in just the UK alone, every night. You can have a look at that. My own UFO sighting a few weeks ago, that's on Enigma, and that's trending really high at the moment. That's got like over 129 upvoting, they call it, likes. And there's some spectacular UFO videos around that sort of time and time again illustrate the protrusion of the fifth dimension into ours, and then, as I say, portal jumping, becoming properly dedicated to our three dimensions for whatever period of time an alien wishes to loiter in our three dimensions. So lots of interesting stuff. Please bear in mind that this technology, if we were to take it seriously and to crack, could have so many applications in terms of medical breakthroughs, transportation, unlimited energy, all the usual stuff. But I do wish that top scientists, top research institutions would take this more seriously, because at the end of the day, there must be lots of money to be made in this type of field. Right, thanks very much for listening, and hope to see you again soon. Okay, goodbye.